They stole my family's 87-acre farm for a dog park, convinced their power and paperwork had made it irreversible. They pictured a gleaming community jewel, paved paths, agility tunnels, way stations, parking for dozens of SUVs, while I watched bulldozers tear down the barn my grandfather built with his own hands in 1947, the same hands that cleared the timber after coming home from the war with nothing but Army savings and stubbornness. City Council President Diane Pressler stood there leaning against her black Mercedes, sipping a latte, watching like it was her personal victory parade. She had offered me $425,000 for land appraised at $890,000, called me provincial when I pushed back, and rammed the eminent domain through in 3 weeks flat. What she never saw coming was that while she congratulated herself, I had already started buying every road, every trail, every forgotten easement that led to her precious $2. $3 million project. My name is Reed Garrett. I'm 58, third-generation farmer in Miller County, deep in America's Rust Belt. The Garrett farm has been alive since 1947, when my grandfather Hank paid $3,200 cash for it, cleared it with a mule named Sargent, and built that barn from hand-milled lumber and pure grit. My father Thomas expanded it in the 70s, switching to organic rotation before the word was trendy, teaching me that soil isn't just dirt, it's living history. Then came Margot, my wife, who could make anything grow. Her farm stand became legend. People drove 40 miles for her tomato preserves. The smell of turned earth and diesel from the old John Deere, those mornings full of coffee and quiet optimism. That was our life. After cancer took her 6 years ago, I kept it going alone. Leased 40 acres to an organic co-op. Employed 8 seasonal workers with families counting on those checks. The land meant everything. Emotional value. Incalculable. Diane Pressler arrived 8 years earlier from some coastal bubble. Former real estate attorney. Married to a tech executive. Zero real roots here, except her country club membership. She called herself a modernizer. That meant bulldozing farms and old businesses for luxury developments. Gentrification dressed up as progress. At the first town meeting, she pitched the Millerton Green Spaces Initiative. 3 targets: my farm, an abandoned lumber yard, and an old drive-in. I stood up, explained we were active, profitable, feeding people, employing locals. Asked for alternatives. She looked at me like I'd tracked manure across white carpet. Sentimentality doesn't pay tax revenue, Mr. Garrett, she said, voice like ice. Progress demands sacrifice from simple folk like yourself. 3 weeks later, the certified letter arrived. Eminent domain for the Pressler Memorial Dog Park and Community Recreation Zone. Named after her late father, naturally. Compensation, half the assessed value. Legal justification boilerplate. Public good supersedes private interest. They attached an environmental study her college roommate had slapped together in 3 days for $120,000. Normal cost $30,000. Normal time 6 weeks. The pages smelled like fresh toner and lies. I hired Luther Briggs, the sharpest attorney in the county. He came back grim. It's rigged. Approvals fast-tracked. Public comment cut from 30 days to 9. This was decided before you got the letter. Worse, the $2. $3 million construction contract went to Pressler Development, LLC, owned by Diane's husband. Self-dealing hidden in plain sight. The objection hearing was theater. Her supporters packed the front rows. I brought economic data, environmental benefits, historical significance, testimonials from my workers. None of it mattered. Diane sat at the council table with that cold predator smile. The gavel cracked like bone. Majority rules, Mr. Garrett. You have 90 days to vacate. I didn't yell. I didn't chain myself to anything. The day after the hearing, I drove to the county assessor's office and spent 8 hours in a mildew-smelling basement, pulling every property record within 3 miles. That's when I found the weakness Diane's expensive lawyers had missed. My farm bordered County Road 47B on one side only, a 30-foot cracked asphalt strip with a 12-ton weight limit. Fine for my tractor, useless for construction trucks or dog park crowds. The other 3 sides. Private land with old easements from the 50s and 70s. Handshake deals that expired every 25 years unless renewed in writing. Most hadn't been. Without fresh easements, the city had taken a land, but not the legal ways to reach it. I mapped every route. North through Veldman orchards, 3 acres of overgrown apples. West through the abandoned Kowalski homestead, 5 acres returning to wilderness. South via Peterson Ranch Service Road, 12 acres of Scrubdale Peterson used only for complaining about taxes. All 3 properties had changed hands since the original easements. None of the current owners had updated them. Legally expired. I sat in my truck outside the assessor's office, maps spread across the steering wheel, engine ticking as it cooled. For the first time in weeks I smiled. The smile of someone who sees checkmate 6 moves ahead. While Diane pushed forward, bulldozers idling in my perimeter, diesel fumes drifting like threats, I moved quietly. Total cost to control every access point, $282,000. I had $340,000 left after Margot's life insurance and farm savings. I bought the orchards cash from Trish Feldman, who was retiring to Florida. Used a shell LLC to hide my name. Paid the county $22,000 to clear the tax lien on Kowalski's place and quiet titled it. No heirs contested. For Peterson Scrub, my daughter Cassidy flew in from Chicago, created another LLC, dressed like a corporate investor, and talked him down to $165,000. He never knew the buyer was a Garrett. 11 weeks after the eminent domain notice, 7 days before they could seize the farm, everything was in place. 3 properties, 3 LLCs, no public trace back to me. Diane's dog park was landlocked except for that narrow, useless county road. She still didn't know. She held press conferences calling me stubborn, scheduled a groundbreaking with the governor's office invited, even came to my house in heels to offer an extra $50,000 if I'd vacate early. I told her I'd be out on time. She left smiling, thinking she'd won. That same morning, I filed formal denial letters for every easement renewal, insurance liability, environmental concerns, property rights. The city attorney realized the problem. No access meant no parking, no infrastructure, nothing. Diane's response, overheard by a clerk, I don't care. Figure out or you're fired. She tried emergency eminent domain on my new properties. Luther shot it down with precedence. She escalated code violations in my rental cottage, fake EPA tips, smears in the paper calling me greedy, tax cheating, exploitative. Anonymous letters. Kids with leashes and photos captioned children's dreams delayed. I fought back smarter. Formed the Millerton Property Rights Alliance with other businesses she'd crushed. Built a counter-narrative on social media. Erected 8-foot agricultural chain link around the access parcels. Legal under-county exemptions. Her project suddenly looked like it was behind prison bars. Then her nephew Tyler showed up at my door at sunset, shaking, pregnant wife at home. He confessed. Diane ordered him to break my irrigation line. $8,000 crop loss. He had texts, recordings. I locked his statement away. Evidence of criminal mischief. Cassidy dug into public records, bond documents, LLC filings. Found Diane owned 40% of the construction company through a trust. $800,000 in bond funds vanished into administrative costs. $425,000 to her old law partner's firm. The environmental study fraud. We filed for a municipal bond audit. Any taxpayer can trigger it. State AG had a look. I held 3 aces: access control, financial paper trail, Tyler's testimony. I let her schedule the groundbreaking. Maximum exposure. The night before, my storage barn burned. Accelerant. Security cam caught a vehicle tied to her husband's shell company. I added it to the pile. Morning of the ceremony. Marcus Webb's investigative story dropped at 5 a.m. Self-dealing, fraud, sabotage orders, everything documented. Shares exploded. Governor canceled. State senator backed away. Diane arrived anyway. 80 protesters lined the road with Garrett family photos and signs about corrupt power. Camera Cruz everywhere. Sheriff holding the AG subpoena. I stood at the locked gate, deed in hand. This is private road, Diane. You need written permission. She tried to spin it for the cameras. I listed the corruption on live mic. Missing funds, hidden ownership, fake study. Luther handed her the article. Sheriff served the subpoena. Tyler stepped forward with his attorney. She ordered me to sabotage the irrigation. I have proof. Diane lunged at him. Sheriff restrained her. She screamed about conspiracies. The crowd turned. Alliance members spoke, lost businesses, killed revenue, called backward. I stepped up last. I'm donating these access properties to the county with conditions. Agricultural conservation easements forever. Redesign the site as a community garden and farmer's market. Independent audit of all city projects past 5 years. Your immediate resignation. Refuse, and it stays landlocked. Your corruption becomes a permanent monument. County commissioner accepted on the spot. Applause erupted. Diane collapsed against the podium. Sheriff escorted her away as flashes popped. She resigned days later, facing 8 felony charges. Her husband's firm lost contracts statewide. Investigation spread. Farm returned with apologies. I turned it into the Margot Garrett Memorial Agricultural Trust. Organic education, scholarships, annual market. The dog park site became Millerton Community Gardens. Raised beds, pavilion, small dog area, sustainability classes. Funded partly by restitution from Diane's fraud. 6 months later, the grand opening drew 2,000 people. Kids running between beds, dogs playing, vendors under the pavilion Margot would have loved. I spoke briefly. My grandfather built a farm. My father sustained it. My wife enriched it. Now it serves everyone. That spring, I planted heirloom tomatoes around her headstone. The same variety she grew for 40 years. I whispered to the stone and the wind, "We did it, Marg. The land lives on." They thought they could pave over history. Instead, they planted the seeds of their own downfall. Corruption attise sunlight. It dies in transparency. If you faced a corrupt council, HOA, or petty tyrant drunk on power, drop your story below. Public records are public. Look hard enough, and the truth is usually right there waiting.